create one keyframe, go to around 2 seconds, and let's rotate it -180 like this. So if you see this now, if you see this animation, we will get something like this. Then at this point, I want this G should convert this spare should convert into G, and then it's go over here. So what we are going to do, we are going to select all of this alphabet and simply move this over here. Press P for position, create one keyframe at X, one keyframe at Y, and R for rotation, create another keyframe, and hit U. Zoom in, let's move this over here, and let's go somewhere around 3.10 frames, create another keyframe on X, Y, and rotation, and let's choose Y position somewhere around over here. And at this point, the X position of this one should be over here. But before that, let's do one thing. I'll simply go to the align tab, align it horizontally, and then align it vertically, so all of them are over here, and simply move the X position of it up to this ellipse. Also, if you want, you can press S for scaling option, create one keyframe, hit U, go over the last, create another keyframe, and at the start you can decrease the scale inside this ellipse. So if you see, we will getting something like this. At this point, I'm going to change the rotation to 1 also, so I'll get something like this. And then go to the search option and type Y position keyframes only type Y, but make sure that you are selecting these layers and then you can type Y. So it will show us only Y position keyframes. Now select those Y position keyframes and we will hit F9 to easy niche those keyframes. Then go to the graph editor, select this graph by holding shift, move one handle over here, select this and move one handle over here, select this, select this one, move this handle over here, select this one and move this handle over here like this. So if you see this now, we are getting something like this. Okay, but along with that, at this point we need a little bit of bounciness, so let's go few frame forward, create one keyframe at Y. In middle of that, let's move this a little bit upward. Okay, then go to the graph editor, select this graph by holding shift, hit F9, select this and this handle over, select this and move this handle over here, select this, move this handle over here, select this, move this handle over here, select this and move this handle over here. So if you see this now, you will get something like this. Okay, so we are gonna get something like this. Now press R for rotation. First of all, hit U. Let's go to the last one and then press R for rotation, and we will select those keyframes and we'll move this rotation keyframe over here. Okay, and then select those keyframes, our rotation keyframes, hit F9, go to the graph editor, select this graph by holding shift, move this handle over here and this handle over here. So if you see this now, you will get this kind of rotation, but this is for G only. So now what we are going to do, I'm going to select this shape layer and this null object, and I'll press Ctrl Shift C and I'll call it as G only. Okay, and let's select this G and bring this at the top, and at this point I'm going to select this G over here. I'll press Ctrl Shift D and I'll delete this layer. So, and let's hide all of this alphabet just for now. So if you see this now, I'll get something like this. And let's do one thing, select all of this alphabet and press R only, select those keyframe, and we will delete the, as you guys know that we have created this kind of graph for it. It doesn't look good, so I'll hit F9 again to reduce it, so it will look properly rotation. And instead of one rotation, I'm going to make it 2 rotations, so it will go a little bit. Oops, sorry, we did mistake. At the start, rotation is 0. Select those last keyframe and then make it 2 like this, and select those first keyframe and by holding Ctrl simply click on it, so it will remove the easiness of the thing. Okay, so this is for G over here. Now I want each and every one for so what I'm going to do, I'll select this G and I'll hit Control D to duplicate it, hit enter, and let's call it as O. Again hit Control D, again hit Control D, hit enter, and let's call it as G. Hit Control D, hit enter, let's call it as L. Hit Control D, hit enter, and let's call it as E. Okay, and select this O. Select this O, move this over here. Select this O, move this over here. Select this G, bring back after this G. Select this L, bring back after this L. Select this E, bring back after this one. Okay, and now what we are going to do, we are going to take a distance of 10 frames maybe, and select this O and this O, move this over here. Then go to around 20 frames, select this layer and this layer, move this over here. Go to around 1 second, select this G and this G, move this over here, select 1.10 frames,